Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I'm joined by a very special guest. Boston University women's hockey player Jessie DeVito joins the show today. Welcome to the podcast, Jessie, and how's everything going?
Thank you so much for having me. Everything's going well. So happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm glad things are going well with yourself. Now let's kind of talk about your recent weekend series that you had against RPI and Union. Just talk about those games and what did you take away from them? Because it seems like you had a tough game against RPI, but then bounced back against Union on Saturday night.
Yeah, of course. Definitely coming off that loss against RPI was, kind of sad for our team, but we made sure to prepare mentally and physically before the game for Union. So watching film with our coaches beforehand, making sure we were going into that game prepared and making sure we can come out with a win. I remember in the first period, I think we were down 1-1 goal. And then my teammate Emma Wuthrich put in the first goal, and that's where we kind of like shifted our momentum and were able to put in 3 other goals and come out with a win. So I think that was a big win for our team, especially that loss against RPI. So, just trying to keep going forward. And I think that really showed that we were mentally and physically prepared.
Yeah, what's your team's mindset after losing a game like that to RPI heading into Union? Because you obviously want to be confident, but you also don't want to make the same mistakes that you might have made against RPI in the previous game.
Yeah, definitely. I think going into every game, we try and treat it, every single team, the same way, whether we're playing, the number 1 seed or, whoever. So I think our mindset, we just kind of shifted. I think it was kind of difficult against RPI. We had a good mindset going in, but, the game just didn't go our way. And I think our mindset, we just wanted to not get down on ourselves, not, take this loss and kind of put our heads down. We just wanted to, play the game we knew how to play. And that's exactly what we did against Union. So just continuing the mindset that we've had all along. And, we were able to get that win, which was super important for us.
Now, before the RPI and Union weekend series, you recently played UNH and lost to them in a shootout. And the same type of result also happened against Merrimack this season. So my question is, what are some things your team can do to try to win those close games and not bring it into a shootout and have it kind of like a lucky bounce not go your way, I guess, in those type of games?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, those games are definitely super hard, I guess. I would say, thank God, it kind of happened earlier on in the season. I think they were really good learning experiences for our team. Kind of showed us, what we did need to work on. So a few things I would say, putting the pucks on net, because when we do, good things happen. And I think we've been able to see that in other games. And then just making sure our positioning is correct. So when it comes to forechecking, in the O zone or in the neutral zone, making sure everyone's in the right position is super important. And that's something that we've been really working on in practice, because when we can execute, it's pretty flawless. So just making sure that, we're executing correctly. And I think that's like the biggest thing that our team has really been trying to work on. And I think we've been doing a good job so far. So
it seems like that game against Merrimack was very physical from just watching it from a fan perspective. Just how do you handle those more physical type games when you go against a team like that? And what's the key for, I guess, trying to get through that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would say Merrimack was definitely a more physical game that we've played this season. I think it's, trying not to get super frustrated. It can become frustrated when, you're down and the team's getting really physical and you just want to fight back. And you kind of have to hold yourself back and don't play into that and just kind of put your head down and continue to play the game. And it is definitely difficult when you're losing and teams are very physical. It's just, you have that mentality, like, I want to be physical back, but, getting a late penalty is not something that a team wants. So just trying to keep our mentality straight and not kind of play into that.
Yeah, do you like playing in those physical type games? Because just from my perspective, I feel like the refereeing, if you allowed like hitting in women's hockey, it would change the refereeing. And I feel like that game against Merrimack was a good example of it because they were kind of allowing a lot more physical calls that might have, if it was a different set of refs, would have been called in a different game. So I feel like that kind of like was a big reason for just the outcome of the game. So just talk about like how do you handle those physical games, and whether you think hitting should be allowed in women's hockey just because of how the refereeing works in Hockey East and just in other conferences as well.
Yeah, growing up, I played boys my whole life, so I switched to girls hockey about my freshman year of high school. So I remember coming in, and I was definitely super physical in the beginning, trying not to take as many penalties, but definitely took a little more than I should have. And I mean, I think at a younger age, it's probably shouldn't be allowed, but I think at the college level, it's definitely a big controversy, I would say, but. I think maybe not like full on, or if we do, that's fine. But letting the girls get a little physical, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, it's a game of hockey. The game's going to get physical. So I think letting things slide and stuff like that, if it's not a dirty hit or anything, I'm fine with, and I think should be allowed.
Now, your team did, however, beat Northeastern, one of the top-ranked teams in the country this season. Just talk about that result and what it meant to yourself and the team as the season goes on.
Yeah, definitely. I remember going into that game, every single person on the team was ready to go. Everyone was super excited. So it was definitely just a very exciting game overall. We knew it was going to be difficult, but we kind of put our heads down, played the game that we knew how to play, and really capitalized on some great opportunities. So that was super important. Definitely a big win for our team. But not trying not to get hung up on that win, and just kind of playing every team the same way, whether it is the second ranked team or not. So definitely a huge win for us, but don't want to get too caught up on that. So
yeah, and Wally B was buzzing that night. That was one of your
oh
first
yeah.
home games. What was it like just to play in that arena for the first time and be with fans for the first time in quite some time, and just talk about playing in that atmosphere with the BU band, and just how cool was it for yourself?
Oh yeah, that was awesome. It was great. I think that was the most fans we've had this season so far. So, really seeing everyone come out to watch our game was so special. So it was just unreal having the band playing. Everyone was super excited on the bench. Every time we'd score, the band would start going off. So it was just awesome. It was great atmosphere, and hopefully the games in Wally B will be like that every time. So, but yeah, it was really great.
What's the best BU band chant so far this season that you've heard?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm not sure. Ah, I will say when the other team's lineup's coming out, the BU band likes to chirp them a little bit, so it's pretty funny. I know a few of us, when we're lined up on the goal line, we kind of chit chat with each other about it, and kind of gets us going. So I would say that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, being on a new team, I guess, what is the biggest adjustment playing for a new team, and how have you handled that adjustment?
Yeah, I think coming in, I think the biggest adjustment was really trying to gain that team chemistry, whether it was my teammates, my line mates, but everyone on the team has been super welcoming. The coaches have been great. So it's definitely been an easier adjustment for me, and I'm super lucky in that aspect. And then, little things, just kind of adjusting to the forecheck and adjusting to certain drills that we do in practice. But again, everyone has been super helpful. So I don't think it's been too much of a big adjustment for me, but I'm very fortunate to have really great teammates and coaches, and it's been going well so far. So very fortunate for that.
Yeah, what are some similarities and differences you notice between the WCHA and Hockey East? Because I think they're both really good conferences. However, I feel like when you watch those conference games, the style of play seems different to me. I don't know if you've noticed that as well.
Yeah, I mean, similarities, I would say. I mean, just both conferences have great teams in them. Everyone's competing for the same goal. So, you're always going to play a team that's physical. You're always going to play a team that's, really good and whatnot. So I would say similarity is just same team has the same mindset, but differences, I guess I would say the one thing I've noticed definitely is traveling. WCHA, the teams are a bit spread out. So, traveling's a little bit longer, and here in Hockey East, it's the teams are closer, so we don't have to travel that far. You can have a home game one day and then a away game the next. And then also just a little bit of the style of play. I think a few, like, more East Coast girls tend to stay on the East Coast, and then a lot of Midwest girls tend to stay on the Midwest. So just a little bit different style of play there, but for the most part, not too much big differences. So.
What are some of the differences in style of play from players that are from like Minnesota versus here in the East Coast?
Um, that's a good question. I mean, girls in Minnesota, like they play hockey throughout their high school career, like on their high school teams. And like here, especially in the East Coast, I know we don't really have that, like playing for your public high school team. It's if you want to, you kind of have to go to boarding school. So, I mean, that's a little different. Style of play wise, I mean, I don't know how much I've like noticed that, but I definitely have seen that more like Midwesterns tend to just gravitate towards Midwest, and East Coasters just tend to stay on the East Coast. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, you must love the travel schedule because I'm assuming Wisconsin to Ohio State, that those plane rides sometimes can be a bit dragging. But for a game like Northeastern or Boston College, you can literally walk to the stadium. So how does that like affect you just getting to have easier travel schedules? Is it nice just from your perspective, not doing the plane rides and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely like love the plane rides are always so fun. The long bus rides, everyone is just chit chatting the whole time. It's 5 hours to Minnesota, so everyone's just playing games with each other and whatnot. But I will say the easier travel is definitely nice. It's your legs aren't dead by the time you get there, and it's definitely it's nice to have quick turnarounds when it's a home game one day, a away game the next. So that's definitely pretty cool.
You probably were one of the few people who kind of used to those long travel rides last weekend to Union and RPI. I'm not sure how many of the players in your team but traveled that far in their collegiate career. So that's something that I just thought of now. So you probably had to give some advice during that trip, I would assume.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think like the whole team is kind of like, oh, this is a long bus ride. It's like 3 hours. I'm like, oh, some of the bus rides I've had in the past are like up to 7 hours. So yeah, I mean, it was funny. We just kind of some people did homework, people like talked. So it didn't seem as long as 3 hours, but yeah, it's kind of funny.
Now, how would you evaluate your experience so far at Boston University, both educationally and hockey-wise?
Yeah, overall, it's been great. BU is a top ranked school, both academically and athletically. So coming into this, it's, classes are going well, and hockey's going really great. Again, my teammates and coaches have just been like so instrumental in helping me adjust, whether that was to my classes, finding where they are, finding, the dining hall and whatnot. So, everyone here has just been so great, and it's really made my transition a lot easier. So, so far everything's been going well, and super excited to see, what's to come.
What's your major? Like, what are you studying right now?
So right now I'm studying international relations, and then potentially we'll do a minor in economics.
Nice. Well, how's that been like at BU, just taking the classes so far this semester?
Yeah, it's definitely been good, but definitely a change up, especially to last year with everything online. So just kind of getting back into the in-person classes, but so far it's been good. Taking 4 classes this semester, so nothing too crazy, but able to handle everything. So far it's been going good.
Yeah, I think for learning wise, it's probably better for me at least to do an in-person class. However, I do miss kind of the convenience of doing a class online. And then once it's done, you don't need to like go anywhere or like walk back to your dorm room and stuff. So that's the one thing I do miss just from last year was the convenience of being on an online class.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely attest to that one too.
Now, what are your goals and expectations for the rest of the season with Boston University for yourself personally and for the team as well?
Yeah, personally, just continuing to gain some confidence, and honestly, just going out there and having fun, and giving 110% every time, whether it's practice or a game. College hockey, it's definitely a long season. Can definitely get draining after a while. So just continuing to have that mentality of coming to the rink every day prepared. And then, yeah, like I said, just going out there to have fun. And, it's 4 years, although it's a long season, it does go by pretty quick. So, just enjoying it while it lasts. And And then team wise, we have a really great group of girls this year. We're all really close with each other, which is super nice. And we also have a really strong team. We're pretty deep. And so, just continuing to get better every day and fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah, and I guess what's it been like to play under Coach Brian DeRocher? Everyone has told me he's such a great guy, but from your perspective, what's it like been playing under him, and what have you learned under him so far this year?
Yeah, no, Coach Roster is amazing. He's such a great guy. He really wants to see us succeed, both as as players, but also just as people. I remember coming in and going through the whole process. He would call me, weekly, just checking in and make sure things were going well and make sure I was, getting comfortable and having different girls on the team reach out to me. So that was really helpful for me. And that really stood out to me, having a coach care that much about you. And, just learning as much as I can from him. He's such a great guy and he has a lot of knowledge on the game. And so, anytime I think I, need some help in some areas, just go up to him. And, he always has so much to help and so much to say. So he's been so great. And he is really an amazing guy and an amazing coach too.
Now, one thing that BU gets to do this year that they didn't get to do last year is the Bean Pot. I have to ask you, as a new player, how excited are you to play in that in-season tournament, and what do you know about the Bean Pot, just from what other players have told you about it?
Oh yeah, I'm very excited. I think that's like the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to this year. But just what I've heard, it's just been so fun. Not a lot of times you have that where all four teams within Boston can get together and kind of go through this tournament. I don't think any other league kind of has something like this. So definitely something special. And it's just awesome. I'm super excited and I really can't wait for it.
Now, I want to transition and kind of talk about the off season that you had. So, how was your off season? Did you get to do anything interesting, whether it's hockey related or non-hockey related?
Yeah, so this off season, I was home, so definitely a little bit of a switch up from the past years. My freshman, sophomore, and junior year, I spent my time at Wisconsin over the summers. So this past year was definitely a little bit different, but definitely nice to spend time with my family and some friends. And I also was working this past summer, so that was very interesting. I worked at UBS as a wealth management intern, which was such a great experience and, really set that foundation for me for a career after hockey, which I'm super grateful for. But, I think that was a little bit of a different summer than I've had in the past and a little bit of different off season. Also, last year I was injured all year, unfortunately. So coming back, this off season, just really focusing on physical therapy and gaining that strength back. So, it was a good off season, I would say, and very fortunate. And, was able to get hockey in there, some lifting, and just trying to figure out when to get that done, especially with working 9 to 5. So, I had a lot of early mornings working out and late nights at the ice rink, but wouldn't change it for the world. It was great.
Yeah, how was your internship? What did you get to do there? Like, what was your role?
Yeah, so my internship was really great. I was a wealth management intern. So I interned on the private wealth management side. So there, I just helped with some simple tasks, and my team specifically focused. It was the client engagement development team, so we focused a lot on like hosting client events, and so I prepared a lot of materials for those. Was able to sit in on some client meetings, which was really really cool, and just was able to learn a lot and network a lot with older people and. Was super super helpful, and I'm very grateful for that experience and for everyone that I was able to meet and network with. So it was definitely great.
Yeah, and I guess is that company you work for like a financial company? Like, what are the what's the company do? I guess.
Yes, UBS is a bank, so it's a financial services company.
Oh, nice. So, I'm sorry if I just keep asking. I'm just kind of like trying to get to know a little bit more about it. So, just like a regular bank, not like for retirements or stuff like that. Because I'm in a finance class right now. I'm trying to understand some of that stuff. So, this is just for me personally.
Oh yeah, so it's a bank. So they have three divisions. They have the asset management division, wealth management division, and then the investment banking division. And under those, there's a bunch of like subcategories. So in the asset management division, they have like real estate, investment banking, they have global banking, wealth management. We focus a lot on, again, client retirement, helping them create a plan for afterwards, and seeing how we can help grow their wealth over their lifetime. But yeah, no, I really loved my experience at UBS. It's a really great place, and everyone there is just super, super helpful. I go up to a managing director who's been there for over 40 years, and they're willing to help an intern sit down and answer any questions I have. So it was a really great experience.
Yeah, that's awesome because I'm taking a finance class right now and I'm learning about investments and mutual funds and all that good stuff. And one thing I didn't realize was whenever I thought of a bank, I just thought it was like a place where money is stored and like people just go and like with their savings account. But I didn't realize like how there's more to a bank than just that. So that's why I was just curious to kind of hear like kind of like what it's like working there, especially as an intern. So thank you for answering those questions. That's really interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, kind of back to the hockey things for your off season. How'd you like deal with the injury recovery process during the off season, and what was the process like for you trying to get back on the ice and being fully healthy again?
Yeah, definitely. So I unfortunately hurt my left knee last summer in August. So it was definitely a long process for me. I was on crutches for about 5 months. So I was out from August to about mid-January, fully on crutches. So coming back, I really focused on doing everything I could just to get back as quick as possible. So meeting with our athletic trainer at Wisconsin constantly, doing all my exercises on my own, making sure I was really diligent with those. Sometimes I had to do exercises 3 or 4 times a day and just trying to gain that muscle back in my one leg. It was definitely hard at times. I mean, there's times I would just completely break down and this is just too hard. It's been like 5 months and I'm still not back. But, my teammates are great. My athletic trainer was great. My coaches were great. Everyone was super supportive. So I think that made the recovery process a little bit easier for me. But I was able to start skating about end of January, beginning of February. So just kind of focusing on little things there, my stride, some crossovers. And then come March, I was able to fully, get back to some of the practices, no contact, but so that was really great. And then just continuing my physical therapy and making sure I was on top of that. And even after, when I was fully cleared, in about May, I still continued my physical therapy all summer, and just wanted to make sure that, my knee was in the best shape possible, especially coming into Boston this year.
And how was training for yourself this off season? What did you work on, and what was the biggest thing you wanted to improve regarding your game for this upcoming year?
Yeah. Training was great. I was able to train with Sam Chima. He works down in New Jersey. He actually coaches a girls team down there, Ironbound. Sorry. But he works with a lot of Division I, Division III, both men and women's hockey players. So that was really great being able to practice with other people, on that high level. I think the biggest thing I really focused on was honestly just getting back into game shape, and really focusing on my shot was definitely a big thing for me. But yeah, I would definitely say I think focusing on my shot and then just skating and getting back to my full capability.
Did you face any challenges this off season with things kind of slowly opening back up? Like, was it hard to find gyms and ice time just because there's still some restrictions regarding that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was definitely a little easier compared to the summer of 2020. There was definitely no gyms open. Ice hockey rink wasn't really open. So that was definitely difficult. But this past summer, I was definitely fortunate enough. The gym in my town was open, so I was able to train there. And then again, the ice rink that I was training at was open. So that was really nice for me. I guess the only difficulty was when I was working, it was 9 to 5. So definitely just finding time. Again, had a lot of early mornings and late nights, but it was super important to me, to get that training in. So always found a way to do it. And Yeah, I mean, I was very fortunate enough to have a gym and ice rink that were open this past summer.
Do you think being a Division I athlete kind of helped with balancing the job and training for hockey, just because you're used to balancing hockey in school on a regular basis when you're in college?
Yeah, definitely. 100%. I mean, being a student athlete, you learn all about time management, and that's probably the biggest skill that I've taken away from being a student athlete in college, and so that was definitely very helpful during my time working and training.
Yeah, I was reading somewhere where former college athletes sometimes make the best kind of executives just because they're used to time management and just dealing with stressful situations, which I thought was interesting. And there's a lot, they're looking at some CEOs of companies, and a lot of them used to play college athletics. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting thing, and just shows you how playing athletics is a really important thing for young people, just because it helps develop skills that can definitely help you after you graduate and after you're done playing your sport.
Yes, definitely.
Now, how did you talk about trying to get used to the with the players? Like, when did you meet the team, and what was the process for kind of getting to know everybody? And another question I have just off that is, what type of leadership do you want in the team, especially since you're a new player, but you have a lot of experience in college hockey, playing with Wisconsin and winning the WCHA title?
Yeah, definitely. So coming in, I was actually very fortunate enough to know a girl who plays on Boston University currently. I went to Ken with her. Her name's Julie Neris. So she was really instrumental in connecting me with other girls on the team. And this past summer was really when I was able to connect with different girls. I think I had at least 10 girls on the team reach out to me separately, sending me a text saying, if I was ever in Boston, if I wanted to meet up with them, and just telling me how excited they are to meet me. So that was really special for me, and definitely made coming here a lot easier. And I think the first time, fully met the girls was when I got to campus. So that was definitely, it was nice. Everyone was super welcoming again, and was able to meet all the freshmen. So it was really great. And the second question,
Oh, it's just about the
leadership.
leadership. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, having 3 great years under my belt of college hockey, the leadership style definitely trying to bring in here, especially being new, is just, making sure a team is up to speed on everything and making sure everyone's on the same page. And I think just being someone that, everyone feels comfortable to come talk to, especially the freshmen. And, that's something that's super important to me. I remember when I was a freshman, I always looked up to the seniors on my team who were always so open and, made it available for me to come talk to them. I definitely have been through a lot of my career. So, didn't really play that much, or, been through an injury. So just being someone who, everybody on the team could just come talk to. And, that's super important for me, and definitely a leadership style I am looking to, take on the team.
Yeah, does it also help that you're not the only transfer player on the team? There's other transfer players as well. Does that help your transition, just because there's other people on the team that are kind of in a similar situation that you're in?
Yeah, definitely. I remember in the first week, us freshmen and new people, we were not able to start training with the team right away just for some medical protocol stuff. But so that's where I was really able to, meet with the freshman and the transfer student, Ellie Larson, and kind of get to know them on a better level. But yeah, definitely coming in and having another transfer student kind of go through what I've been through, was definitely so nice. I remember in the beginning, me and her would always just talk about, our process, and just having someone there that's been through the same thing is definitely super helpful.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the freshman class. What's it like playing with them, and what do they bring to the table, and how have you tried to help their transition into college hockey?
Yeah, definitely. Our freshmen are great. Like I said, I was able to meet them a little bit early on, and get to know them on a better level, which has been really nice. And again, being someone who's kind of had this experience, but also being someone who's new, just trying to help them with like anything they have, any questions. I know it can be a big leap coming from high school to college. So just making sure, I'm there for them with any questions. And, we're both just, or all of us are just trying to help each other out, and, figuring out a new school, but yeah, no, our freshmen are great, and they're all super hard workers, every single one of them. So it's really great to see young girls who are coming in and just super excited to be here, and really want to work hard. So yeah, our freshman class is really great. We really lucked out.
Now, I want to talk about the beginning of your hockey career. So you're from Rumson, New Jersey. How did you start playing hockey and falling in love with the sport? And what's it like growing up in New Jersey and being a hockey player?
Yeah, so I actually figure skated when I was younger. And my one brother played ice hockey. And I would always go to his games. I remember watching his games being like, I want to be out there. I don't want to do figure skating anymore. So I remember one day I went home, went in my garage, put my brother's gear on, and I like came into the house and I like was to my parents, I'm like, I want to play or I want to play hockey. And they were like, all right, like, are you sure? And I was like, 100%. Like, I don't want to do figure skating anymore. Um, so I think I signed up to do like a learn to play kind of thing. Fell in love with it and just kind of continued from there. But yeah, there's definitely not a lot of girls teams in New Jersey. So growing up, that was definitely a little difficult. As I'd mentioned before, I played boys most of my life. But just trying to find, different girls teams. When I was growing up, I think there was only two in New Jersey. There's definitely a bit more now. But that kind of led me into going into boarding school, and kind of playing at that level. Yeah.
Yeah, what's the hockey scene like in New Jersey? Just because, like you said, there's not many girls hockey teams there, but I've talked to some players who are from New Jersey about the New Jersey hockey scene. It seems a little bit kind of different from the whole New England kind of hockey scene here in Massachusetts and Connecticut. Because I know Matt Brown from BU, he's from New Jersey. He was kind of telling me a little bit about it. And I've interviewed a couple of other players from New Jersey, but it seems like it's kind of like a unique niche kind of hockey culture with, you seem like to know everyone that plays hockey there.
Yeah, I will say that that is one thing about New Jersey. A lot of the people that I train with, I think all know each other, especially us like players that are in college level. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of teams in New Jersey, even boys side as well. So just yeah, I will say a lot of us know each other from New Jersey. But yeah, definitely a little bit different. I mean, I know in New England, especially Massachusetts, there's lots of girls teams, lots of boys teams. So that's a little bit different compared to New Jersey. But yeah, no, definitely a lot of familiar faces.
Mhm. And who was your favorite player growing up? Was it someone on the Devils or was it a women's player on the national team? Like, who did you kind of idolize growing up in New Jersey?
Yeah, I was a big Devils fan, still am. So I'm gonna have to say my favorite player was Zach Parisi.
Nice. Was it upsetting when he left to Minnesota? Because I know a lot of players in your team really like Zach Parise because he's from Minnesota. And then when he went home, but I'm assuming, at least when I remember him, he was with the Devils. At least I think that's when he was in his prime. So just talk
Yeah,
about that.
definitely very sad for us Devils fans, but he's just such a great player overall. So just watching him play, I remember I was always so mesmerized. Um, but he's a great player overall. So wherever he ends up, he's obviously doing well, and doing really well in Minnesota. So, but definitely a tough loss for the Devils.
Yeah, what's it like watching the team now? It seems like they have a lot of young players on the team. I know Jack Hughes is one of the emerging NHL stars. I don't know if you've had the chance to see him play yet. I know you're very busy, but just what's your thoughts on the team now?
Yeah, my one sister is actually a big Devils fan. Knows a lot of, probably knows every stat. So hear about it from her. But I think I've been to one or two games in the last 3 years. Just again traveling, being so busy. But yeah, I can see that there's a lot of younger players. But I think that's important and growing the game, and I don't know. I hope they're doing well, and I should probably check up and on that more and watch some more games. But I definitely hear a lot about the stats from my sister and my dad. So
Now, before BU, you played for Kent School. Just talk about what it was like playing for that boarding school and how did you get the opportunity to go there?
yeah, definitely. So my freshman year of high school, I knew I wanted to go to boarding school. Didn't really know where yet. I visited Shattuck St. Mary's. I visited Lawrenceville in New Jersey. And then I also visited Kent, which was in Connecticut. Um, and Kent was honestly just the perfect balance for me, both academically and athletically. It was just such a great experience. That's where I've met my best friends. Coaches were great. Our head coach, Coach Sean Rousseau, he was also a college counselor. So, he was really instrumental in the college process for me. And, it was just such a great experience. And I was able to play with girls who also, were going to play college at the Division I and Division III level. So just playing with players who were also, had that same end goal and always push themselves every day, really helped me to push myself.
Now, what's your favorite memory you have with Kent when you look back on it now?
I would say my favorite memory will have to be the TAF tournament that we would do right before Christmas. So it's just a bunch of boarding school teams, not a bunch, but there's probably like 6 of us. All go to TAF school. You stay in their dorms for like 3 days, which is definitely fun, a little bit different. Kind of see what their school's like. And, no one else is there. It's just us teams. So it's definitely a lot of fun. Our team would always, do like play games with each other and just kind of where we got really close. And then my senior year, we actually won it and beat Taft. So that was definitely such a surreal experience.
Yeah, and how did it help prepare you for college hockey when you look back on it now, just playing with those players that played college hockey, like you said, or was it kind of having the success your team had, winning like the TAF tournament, like you just said?
Yeah. I mean, just our team was great. Like our players, we had a lot of great people pass through Kent. So, I think it was just, our team and everyone had the same goal in mind. I remember when I first stepped on campus there, everyone was like, we're going to be like, we want to be New England champions. So just kind of having that mindset. And my first year, we did really well. I believe we won the TAF tournament that year too. Junior year, I we did not win it that year, but senior year came back, won it for a final time. So that was just really great experience.
Now, talk about your recruitment process. You originally chose to play for Wisconsin for your first years in college hockey. So, what was it like going through the recruitment process, and what made you want to go to Wisconsin originally versus other schools you might have looked at when you were with Kent School?
Yeah. So going through the college process, I went about it, I believe, my sophomore year of high school. I went to a lot of those college showcases, was able to gain exposure to a lot of college coaches, which was really great. Um, and, just getting that call from Wisconsin when I was younger, saying that they're very interested is, I mean, I would say is a lot of, young girls' dreams. So it was just, I remember I was starstruck. I mean, I've always looked up to the girls that have passed through that program. Hillary Knight, Brandon Decker, Megan Duggan, also the coach, Coach Mark Johnson. Um, I remember I went on an unofficial visit there, stepped on campus with my parents, and I just fell in love with Madison. Campus is so beautiful. And I remember I was like, this is where I want to spend my college career. And finally getting that offer, it was something that I just didn't want to turn down and had to take. And I'm forever grateful for my experience at Wisconsin. And, I wouldn't change a thing there.
Yeah, what's it like being in Madison? Because I was just reading somewhere there's where it's the best city to live in America. I don't know if you knew that, but I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I did not know that. That's actually a fun fact. But oh, Madison's great. I mean, everyone in the Midwest is just so nice, and Madison is, it's not a super big city, so it definitely feels a bit homey. Which is so nice. And, everyone there is just such a big Badgers fan. Because that's kind of the only school there, so it feels just like one big family, and the campus is just beautiful. So it's definitely hard to beat.
What was it like playing under Coach Mark Johnson, and just talk about how legendary of a coach he is? But did you ever talk about the Miracle on Ice thing? Because I think that would be pretty interesting for me if I was a player on your team.
Yeah. I mean, playing under Mark Johnson is just unreal. He's a great guy. Again, very similar to Coach Droscher here, both great guys. Really want their players to do well, and be great people off the ice. But I do remember one time we were at an away tournament, and he sat our team down and he was like, listen, I'll tell my story about the 1980 Olympics and answer any questions you have. So that was a really cool experience. So it was just our team and him. And, we were kind of able to ask any question we wanted and kind of hear his experience just one-on-one, which not a lot of people get to do. So that was definitely a cool experience. But he's a very humble guy. He would not brag about his experience there and whatnot. But he's a great guy overall, and very fortunate to be able to be coached by him.
That's awesome that he did that for you guys. What questions did you ask, if you can
remember? I don't think I asked any questions. I think I was just so mesmerized by him talking about his experience and just listening to other girls. And so I don't believe I had any questions asked. I probably should have, but just kind of taking it all in.
How similar was his stories compared to the movie Miracle? Because that's one of my favorite movies of all time, but I feel like they might have exaggerated a few things in that film, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe he said that. He said some things were definitely exaggerated. I can't remember exactly which, but I definitely, some of the storyline is correct, but I do remember him saying some of those things were definitely exaggerated.
I hope the one part that wasn't exaggerated was when they lost to, I don't know who it was, like Norway or something, but then Herb Brooks made them like skate across the ice like 1,000 times, it seemed like, until Micah Ruzioni from BU actually kind of just said, like, I'm Micah Ruzioni, I play for the USA. I just thought that was like really cool part of the movie and kind of united the team. Did he talk about that?
Yeah, I definitely think that is one thing that was not exaggerated. So that's definitely very interesting, and could not imagine going through something like that. But again, like you said, definitely brought the team together, and I think that is what made their team close. And I think Coach Johnson would say the same.
Did you have to do any of those drills at Wisconsin, like skating all across the ice after a bad loss, or that never happened?
We never had anything similar to that. I will say, very lucky for that one.
Now, what was your experience like at Wisconsin? You only played 8 games, but you won a WCHA title, and unfortunately that year the tournament got canceled. But what was just your experience like overall with that school?
Yeah, again, coaches there are great. Absolutely loved my teammates. We were all so close, so it just made it so fun. And again, Madison, it's very hard to beat that campus. But yeah, I mean, just overall, my career at Wisconsin was great. My freshman year, I did redshirt. We had 2 girls come back from taking gap year from the Olympics. And sophomore year, like you said, was only able to play 8 games. But winning that WCHA playoff was something that was so special to our team. I mean, our team was just so close, and it was a common goal that we all really wanted to do, and we were able to get it done. And like you said, unfortunately, the tournament was canceled. I remember that like the back of my head, but very sad. But our team stuck together, and we were fortunate to pull out that WCHA win, and yeah, I mean, it was just a great experience, and it was a really great team effort.
Yeah, how hard was it not to play in the tournament that year, especially since the Frozen Four was supposed to be at BU, which is kind of funny to think about it now.
Yeah, I remember we were playing Clarkson, or we were supposed to play Clarkson, and about a day before, maybe a day and a half before, our chancellor announced, we were unable to play in the game, and our coach came in and kind of sat us all down. And I remember the seniors were just a wreck. Everybody else was just crying. And, we're all just sitting there. And I think someone was like, let's all go out there for one last skate. So we all got our equipment on and just had a bit of a skate with each other one last time, which was super sentimental. And, I think that was, a really cool experience, just kind of a last goodbye to our seniors. And definitely very sad, but I think it just showed how close our team was, and that we wanted to do one last skate. And yeah, I mean, it was definitely sad that we were unable to play in that tournament. I know we were all very excited to go to Aganis, but unfortunately, definitely did not go the way we wanted it to.
Do you still talk to any players from Wisconsin today, and how excited were you when they won the national championship last year?
Yeah, I am in contact with almost all the girls from Wisconsin. Um, they're all great. I'm super close with, many of them. So I talk to a lot of them frequently. But yeah, I remember I was watching that game against Northeastern, and I was just cheering so loud for Wisconsin. And I was really glad to see them pull out that win. They deserved it. And, I was definitely sad I couldn't be there, but every girl was great, and it was just an amazing experience overall. And people were texting me after like, oh, wish you were there. And it just kind of showed like how great of a family we were. And I was just super stoked for them to pull out that win, and definitely well deserved.
Yeah, Dara Watts, she scored so many great goals, but out of all the goals she scored, that's the least expected goal I thought she was going to score in that game. It's just crazy how it took a funny bounce and went in the net.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a Daryl goal, I will say, right off the back of I believe it went off the back of the defender or
Yeah,
goalie. But
I felt
yeah,
bad for the
I
defender
mean,
because there's nothing she could do about it. But just the way hockey works, sometimes bounces don't go your way. But I felt really bad for the defender. But I just thought it was kind of funny. Like out of all the goals that Darryl Watts could have scored in that game, that's the one that went in the net.
oh yeah, I'm not surprised by that goal. I mean, that is just she finds a way to put the puck in the net anyway. So, I was not surprised to see that. But yeah, no, it was a great goal. I mean, there's nothing anybody could have done, but it just shows how smart Daryl is with the puck. I mean, who's gonna think to shoot it off a defender and it'll go in the net? Not a lot of people. So
Now, what made you want to kind of go to BU and transfer from Wisconsin?
yeah, I mean, there was definitely a wide variety of reasons I chose BU. To start off again, coaching staff just absolutely loved every single one of them. We did have a bit of a coaching staff change during my transfer process, but our new coaches are great, and I love them all equally as I did the last ones. Coach Rocher is still here. Again, I knew Julie Neris on the team, and she was able to help me out and answer any questions I had about BU early on, and kind of get me connected with some of the team. So I was able to meet some of the teammates and just knew it was a great group of girls. And just overall, it's a top tier school academically and athletically. So, that was something that I was, wanted, and very fortunate enough to be here. And again, city of Boston is also hard to beat compared to Madison. So I've just always loved Boston my whole life. And, once again, just very fortunate enough to be here, and super excited.
Yeah, I'm definitely super biased. I know that report said Madison's the best city in America, but in my opinion, it's Boston. Like I said, I'm very biased, but that's what I would choose personally.
Yes, no, I will say that. I mean, I love Madison. Again, it's hard to beat, but I've just always been in love with Boston. I
Yeah.
have. It's such a great city, and it's definitely really cool. There's a bunch of schools around here, so and again, just the city, it's can't beat it. So
How was it transitioning from like kind of a campus scene, like in Wisconsin, versus kind of a city campus at BU? Because I feel like it'll be harder to find my classes at BU just because everything looks the same.
yeah, I will say it was definitely a little bit difficult, but I mean, Madison still has that, city feel to it. I mean, there's definitely more of a campus in Madison than there is here. But it's definitely spread out, just as it is here. But fortunate enough, BU is mostly just a strip. So classes are not as hard to find as I thought they would be. But I remember coming in, Julie Neris helped me a lot and took me around to my classes before our first day of school. So I was able to kind of get a lay of the land and see where they are. And so, it definitely hasn't been too difficult, but definitely a little bit of a change up.
Yeah, and I guess my last question before we get to the non-hockey segment is, what's the transfer process like? And I know this sounds like kind of a dumb question, but when you put your name in the portal, what's the process like? Like, how does schools contact you, and how does that transition work to go from another school to another school, but also like play hockey with that school?
Yeah. So the transfer process, so from what I can remember, and mine was definitely a little bit not different, but it was during COVID. So not all teams had a spot, which is, a little bit different compared to past years. But it just the process in general. I remember I first started, I talked to my coaches. That was the first step that I wanted them to be the first people to talk about this with. And I remember I typed out a whole letter. It was definitely an emotional meeting, but my coaches were super supportive and, wanted to help in any way they could. And from there, I believe I reached out to compliance, and compliance is the one who officially puts your name inside the transfer portal. And then from there, you kind of have free reign. So coaches are able to contact you, you're able to contact coaches. But yeah, your name just sits in a portal. And I mean, I got a lot of, emails from different college coaches. I also reached out, to the colleges that I was interested in. So it kind of goes both ways in that sense. And, but yeah, once you kind of put yourself in the portal, it's kind of free reign from there. Cause before that, you're not allowed to, talk to coaches. And yeah, so, but I was very fortunate enough to come out of the transfer process, going to the school that I really wanted to go to. So I was very fortunate enough in the transfer process, and super happy where I ended up.
So we're now in the segment I like to call the non-hockey segment, trying to get to know you a little bit off the ice. So my first question to you is, if you could do anything for a day, what would you do and why?
It's a tough question. I think if I could do anything for a day, I would want to go to Paris and walk around Paris for the day. That's always just been a dream of mine ever since I was younger. I've always wanted to go there. So go probably sightseeing, see the Eiffel Tower, and just kind of walk around and get some good food. And yeah, I think that would be a really cool experience.
Yeah, I've never been to Europe before, but that's the one city in Europe I'd love to see one day is Paris. But for me, it would be like hiking, especially in the trails in the West Coast. I've never been to the West Coast, but I've always wanted to hike around, British Columbia, Banff National Park in Alberta, and then do like the California thing. I just think that would be cool just to do that for a summer, but to do it for a day, I think would be awesome. Besides
Yeah.
watching hockey, obviously, that would be my number one thing. But since it's a non-hockey segment, that's my second choice.
Yeah, no, that would definitely be a cool experience.
Now, just talk about if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Again, another tough question. There's so many people. Um, I will say just one actress that I've always loved and just thought is the funniest person ever is Melissa McCarthy. So I think just having lunch with her would just be a funny experience, and probably something that I would never forget. I mean, there's definitely a lot of people I would have lunch with, and probably more influential people. But I think she would like having lunch with her would just be overall a very funny experience.
For me, it has to be a athlete just because all I really watch is sports. I don't watch too much TV or movies, but I think I'll choose Brad Marchand from the Bruins just because they're my favorite NHL team, but I also think he's a great player and he seems like a funny guy. So that's definitely what I'll choose, or just someone on the Bruins in general. Like I know Trent Frederick, former Badger, he seems like a cool guy. I'd like to have lunch with him. So someone on the Bruins for me personally.
Yeah, no, that would definitely be cool. Yeah, I've actually met Trent before, and he is a great guy. So that would definitely be a cool experience.
He's definitely a good fighter. I don't know if you've seen any of his fights in the NHL, but the guy can throw some good hands.
Yes, definitely.
Now, since when we're recording this episode, it's a few days before Halloween, so I decided to do some Halloween themed questions. So the first one is, what's your thoughts on Halloween? Or do you like it, or are you not a fan?
um, Growing up, I loved Halloween. I remember I would always look forward to it. Just kind of as I've gotten older, It's definitely not my favorite holiday. I don't know. I don't mind it, but I think I'm more into like Christmas. That's like my
Mhm.
favorite holiday. So not a big Halloween girl, but I don't mind it.
Yeah, Christmas is definitely my favorite holiday for sure. But for me, Halloween, this might be a bit of a controversial answer, but I'm not a big fan of it personally. I feel like when you're adult, there's really no use for Halloween. It's kind of just like another day.
Yeah.
Because when you're a kid, you get to dress up, go trick or treating. But as like a grown adult, you can't really do that anymore. And that was like the most fun part about Halloween. And I feel like if you don't go to parties or anything like that, it just seems kind of like it's just not really as fun of a holiday as it for other people. So I'm not the biggest Halloween fan. I think it's a bit overrated personally. I know some people might get upset by that. So,
No, I think I'll definitely have to agree with you on that one. I'm not a huge Halloween person, so.
well, for the Halloween people that are listening to the podcast, what's the best costume you've ever worn? If you can think about when you were growing up.
Hmm. I will say one year, um, three of my friends and I want to say we were in sixth grade, maybe younger, but we dressed up as the Teletubbies. And that was pretty funny. We got like the full suit. You could just see our faces. I remember I saw pictures from there, so that was pretty funny. I think that might be one of my best costumes so far.
So I always went as a hockey player. It seems super basic, but it was easy because I had the equipment and stuff. So I wouldn't have my parents wouldn't have to buy like a costume. But
Mhm.
at the one year I went as an astronaut. That was pretty cool because I
Oh,
looked
that is
the
cool.
full NASA suit on it. So I thought I look back on that was probably my coolest costume I had.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Those costumes are super easy. Just jump right into them and
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I just remember I was Spider-Man one year and like I thought the costume was so cool, but I saw photos of it recently and it looked so bad and I was like, why did I think this was so cool at the time? I thought it was like legitimately Spider-Man, but like it's not a great costume when you look at it now.
Oh no, I've definitely had costumes like that in the past too, so don't worry.
Now, what's the best Halloween candy and what's the worst Halloween candy?
Um, I'm a big Reese's girl,
Hmm.
so I would say that's probably my number one candy. And then the worst candy, maybe like almond joy or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't like almond joys. I'm not
yeah.
like big into that. So maybe that or I'm trying to think of what else.
Snickers is overrated too. I know some people might get mad about that.
Really?
I'm not a big
Oh,
Snickers
I'm
fan.
a Snickers girl, so
I think the
but
best candy is definitely Reese's for sure,
yeah.
just because it's and then Skittles. I'm a big Skittles guy. I always like
Okay.
them. But by far the worst is Almond Joy. I don't know what was more disappointing when you got Almond Joy in your bag. I was like, oh my gosh, it was so it was the worst.
So I
The
like when
worst
I was
thing.
younger, we would always do like trading candy with my friends and whatnot. And that was the one I'd always put up for trade. I'm like, anybody want this? Like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, after my parents checked the candy, I don't know if your parents did that, but like they always had to check the candy, and then like we would put in like these plastic seal up bags, and like the last one that was always left after we finished it all was the almond joy, and like no one ate it. It's just I don't understand why people give that stuff out. I would much rather have like the pretzels honestly than
Oh
almond.
yeah, same.
Now, kind of getting back to some non-hockey questions. My first question to you is, who is the funniest teammate you have at BU?
There's definitely a lot of funny girls on our team, I will say, but I am gonna have to give this one to Julie Neris. I think a lot of girls on my team would also agree with that, but yeah, she's just so funny. And growing up with her at Kent, I've seen it since then. So, and she's just hysterical. So,
Yeah, every person I've talked to who I've had on the podcast from BU says Julia Nearest. What does she do that's so funny? Because I'm not in the today, so I don't get to see it. But like, I feel like we should get her mic'd up or something if the BU social media is listening to it or something like that.
oh yeah, she would. Oh, that would be funny to get her mic'd up. Just her comments sometimes. She always has something to add, and everyone just always laughing at it. I don't know. She's just funny. So
Yeah, I definitely should get her on the podcast. I've had her sister on before, so I definitely need to see some of that humor if she would talk about it on the podcast. That would be funny to see or hear.
yes, definitely.
Now, which teammate has the best style besides yourself?
I'm gonna give this one, and I will say both on and off the ice, is Lacey Martin.
Nice. I've had her on the podcast, and yeah, a lot of people have said her. Some people said Haley Blinkhorn as well. It was kind of a mixture between those two.
Yeah, I will say Haley definitely does have good style. But yeah, I don't know. I will say Lacey on this one.
Yeah, I feel like I wish more social medias, or I guess for hockey, do like pregame like post of like the outfits, because you see it for the men's all the time. And not to diss any of the men's hockey players, but
Yeah,
it's the same thing every day. But at least for you guys, I feel like you guys can change it up a little bit, which is kind of fun to see.
yeah, no, definitely. I think that would be actually really cool. Because yeah, I mean, every day, I remember just before games, everyone's like, "What are you wearing?" And it's just it's a whole different thing for girls than it is for guys. You know, they just put on a suit, but for girls, it's, are you wearing a dress? Are you wearing pants?
Yeah.
It's it's a whole different thing. So that would definitely be cool.
I think it's definitely kind of like a blessing just because like you get to be more creative, but it also can be kind of a curse because it's so hard to kind of figure out an outfit potentially.
Oh yeah, and it's like, oh, I don't want to wear the same outfit twice, and
Yeah.
just little things like that. But yeah.
I'm not the same way. I could wear the same outfit like for 2 weeks straight. I wouldn't even notice. So I was probably the worst dresser on my team.
That's funny.
So last non-hockey question is, what music do you like to listen to? I don't know if I asked that one. Did I? No, I didn't.
No, no,
All right.
I've not asked. I will say country music, and I was not big into country before I went to Wisconsin. And then, just being in the Midwest, a lot of people out there listen to country. A lot of my teammates did. So, just kind of like throughout the last 3 years, just got into country music, and now I love it. So, I listen to it a lot, even before pre games. So, yeah.
Go-to artists? I know Thomas Rhett's big. That's kind of the
Um, Really like Morgan Wallen.
Yeah, I was listening to one of his songs today actually, so that's kind of funny.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge Morgan Wallen fan. So,
Well, back to some hockey questions now. First one is, what advice would you give a younger player who's trying to make it to D1 college hockey?
the biggest advice that I could give would just be always be the hardest working kid on the ice. And that's something that coaches have always told me, and try, have and try to, take that to heart. And because, there's always going to be someone who's more skilled than you. There's always going to be someone faster than you. So, just if you can be the hardest working kid on the ice, good things will happen. And, this is going to sound a little cliche, but hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And, I can say that that is definitely true. And, so that's something that I've always strived for. And, I would tell someone who's, growing up in the game is just, always be the hardest working person on the ice.
Yeah, you've played with many great players. Is it true that like some of the best players are like the hardest workers on the team from your experience?
Oh yes, definitely. For example, Sophie Shirley at Wisconsin, one of my best friends, but such an amazing player, but puts in that extra hours like no other. And we are the same age, but I always look up to her, and just how hard she works. She'll be the first one there, and then the last one to leave, and it just goes to show, and how great she is, just as a player, and as a person. So.
Now, last hockey question is, what should be done to help grow women's hockey in your opinion? It seems like some strides have been made, but it seems like there's been also some kind of setbacks as well with Robert Morris canceling their women's hockey program, and just I feel like certain women's hockey programs don't get enough attention as they should.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I would say for that one, just having a lot of advocates, especially from the men's side. I mean, as we all know, the men's side is definitely big, and I think there's a lot, or yeah, a lot more opportunities on that side. So, I think having some advocates from that side would be very beneficial, and just continuing to grow the game as women. And I think us women who are at the college level, or the WNHL or PWHPA level. Continue to just be advocates for those younger girls, and continuing to make strides and fight for, those younger girls who will come later on. And, hopefully, we'll have more opportunities than there has been in the past and there are right now. So, just continuing to grow the game and, just get as many advocates as we can.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I noticed is a lot of people that like are, I guess, criticizing women's hockey are just kind of trolls on the internet and just
Oh yeah.
ice hockey players that aren't as good as you guys are, so they get like insecure. That's just my opinion. But a lot of like the best men's hockey players seem like super supportive of women's hockey. Like Wisconsin, for example, it seems like the men's team has been very supportive of your team. I don't know. It seems like the BU men's team is the same way as well.
Yes, definitely. I will say, both teams are very super supportive of us. And like you said, I think those people who, don't have nice things to say about the women's side is just, kind of trolls. And we are very skilled players, and having those advocates on the men's side is super important. And also just having men our age, on the men's teams, just being advocates is also just super great and great to see.
Well, before I let you go, do you have any shout outs you'd like to give to any of your teammates, family members, or friends? I know we kind of mentioned some people throughout the interview, but if there's anyone we forgot to mention, feel free to shout them out now.
Yeah, I'll give a big shout out to my family, just supporting me through my career. Most importantly, my parents come to every game, so that's really great. My dad too. He'll sit on the phone with me, and we go through different plays. He'll watch video with me and just point out different things. And my sister, Janie, she played college soccer at Middlebury College. So she knows kind of what it's like to be a student athlete and at the college level. So she's definitely been a big support during my time, in college. And, just a big shout out to my coaches. Coach Sean Rousseau at Kent was very instrumental throughout my process with Wisconsin. Big shout out to all three of my coaches at Wisconsin. Definitely have helped me become the player that I am today. And, I couldn't thank them enough. And my teammates there. And then also my coach from Mid-Fairfield, Ryan Equal, he was just very, very instrumental with my transfer process and helping me get in contact with Coach DeRocher. So big shout out there. And, to all the people who have helped me get to where I've been today. Super grateful.
Well, thank you so much, Jesse, for coming on the podcast and taking time out of your schedule. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best for the rest of the season. And good luck against Vermont tomorrow. And I will be seeing your team play in person in a couple of weeks from now. So hopefully we get to at least see each other at the game. I guess Holy Cross is a small rink, so I feel like you will be able to do that.
Yes, definitely. Reach out to me when you're there, and looking forward to meet up there. And thank you again so much for having me. It's been such a great, experience and a great conversation. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Matthew.
Now, one thing we do